Are we rolling? Yes.
Hello and welcome to the Alto sing-along video for Thy Light Within Us Shining. So today we're going to go over the alto part for Thy Light Within Us Shining. We're going to talk about some of the phrasing and some of the, emphatic musical notes and also words and just how to get the most out of the music. And hopefully we'll have some fun doing it. This is, I actually really enjoy this alto part, and I hope you do too. There are some alto parts that can be a little boring, but this one I think has some really nice flavor in it. So we'll try and bring that out and make this the most enjoyable part for you to sing. All right, let's do this. Okay, so before I actually was getting a little ahead of myself, before we get started singing, we're actually going to do a warm-up. Just because if we're singing alto or bass, it's also good to practice singing in the lower registers of our voice. Actually, if you're anybody, so let's go ahead and just do it for everybody. But let's practice some arpeggios going backwards. So we're going to start here, and we're going to go ah. So that's the pattern. And let's go through all the vowels like we normally do, and let's start with E. So here we go. Excuse me, I had to burp. E, A, I, excuse me. E. I'm not really a bass. Not a bass at all. A. A. O. Ooh. Hopefully your voice is a little more resonant down there than mine. Yeah. All right, now let's get into this. Okay, so here we are. First thing I want to do with all of us is just simply go over some musical important points. So the first thing we're going to take a look at here, so remember, music, pencil. So first thing, legato, as I described in the tenor video, if you watched that, legato is the musical term when you're describing stringed instruments for the phrase to bow, right? So staccato is its opposite. Staccato means to pluck, and it's very percussive. It's like bang, 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 bang. And so the opposite of that is smooth. Legato means smooth. So why don't you go ahead and circle legato and write smooth next to it, okay? Just so you remember, smooth. Legato is smooth, connected, feel like water, okay? Water flows. Legato is very flowy. The next thing we're going to look at is the double P. Remember, this means pianissimo, which means very quiet. 2 P's is almost energetically, imagine that you're whispering, okay? But just because you're whispering does not mean that you're allowed to be lacking in energy or intensity. It simply means that the volume is low, right? So let's go ahead and circle the PP, just so we remember that. And let's make a mark to take a big breath, because you're going to need a big breath to support yourself through that quiet volume but high energy. So big breath is going to be really important, okay? So we're already off to a good start. So let's just go through the lyrics together. I'm going to follow along with the soprano bar, but whatever part you are, you make your notes on the lyrics as they align with your staff. So, thy light. Let's just read it together. Thy light within us shining has shone where freedom lies. So that's the first thought. Thy light within us shining has shone where freedom lies. So there's a lot of, as one of my old teachers would say, there's a lot of emphatic phrases in here. First off, light is capitalized. So they're talking about God's light here. It's not just any old light. It's thy divine light. So thy divine light within us shining has shone where freedom lies. So I want you to go ahead and underscore freedom and lies with an arrow moving forward because, I moved the music. Bring that back up. Because freedom is important, but freedom is not the end. It's where freedom lies. So make that arrow underneath moving forward and circle lies, where freedom lies, right? Thy light within us shining has shone where freedom lies. That's pretty exhilarating. And then, as you see, there's a colon. And so the next sentence is describing where does that freedom lie? From earthly walls confining to soar in spirit skies. So again, there's a lot of momentum here because we have a juxtaposition between earthly walls confining and soaring in spirit skies. So confining versus soaring, earthly walls versus spirit skies, right? So from earthly walls confining. So let's really highlight, let's underscore confining, and specifically the ing. That last note is beautiful. So let's especially underscore the ing of confining. And then to soar in spirit skies. You'll see musically, which we'll get into in a second, like the sopranos, almost everybody has a moving passage on to. And so on that part, we want to emphasize that movement. It's hopeful. From earthly walls confining to soar, right? So soar is going to be another one. Just think of that emphatically. You can circle it if you like. To soar in spirit skies. You can underscore those with an arrow moving forward so you know that the momentum's moving when skies is really important. To soar in spirit skies. So then we're moving on. We have a new thought now. How oft, let's pause for a second. Oft, O-F-T, is really just an abbreviation for often, right? So how often, like sheep, we've strayed apart, now guided by thy ray. So how often, what is not being said is how often in the past, like sheep, we've strayed apart. So how oft, like sheep, let's underscore sheep. Sheep is important. Well, that's what the analogy is. How oft, like sheep, we've strayed apart. But strayed isn't important so much as strayed apart, because strayed is only describing the apart. So then let's circle apart and then now, right? So there's going to be a little bit of a pause between we strayed apart. Now is going to be the most important. So like really give that a double underscore if you want, because how often in the past we've strayed apart. Now we're talking about where we are now versus where we were then. Now guided by thy ray. So how often, like sheep, that's when we were alone. Now we're guided by thy ray. So thy is important, but it's only describing the ray. Thy ray. So really here, and there's even a crescendo on ray. Ray is really important. And we crescendo up to a forte. So actually let's back up a little bit. Let's circle this mezzo forte here on how oft. So mezzo forte is kind of like a speaking voice. It means medium loud, just kind of a comfortable full-bodied voice. Then we get up to forte, we crescendo. A crescendo means growing in intensity, growing in volume. So we're guided by thy ray, and the volume increases to a forte, fortissimo. Excuse me, not a fortissimo, just a forte. And from there, I'm losing the music here. This isn't good. I didn't think about that. Okay. There we go. That's better. We'll take it. Sorry about that. I hope you could see everything I was doing. But I'm not going to go back, so hope you could follow along just by what I was saying. So, anyway, guided by thy ray, let's circle that fortissimo. Just to reiterate, in case you missed it, the mezzo forte is this sucker right here, the MF, but in your respective line. Now, so let's move on. Now, guided by thy ray, comma, in inner freedom of the heart, our night has turned to day. So in inner freedom, inner is only describing the freedom, so in inner freedom. But again, it's freedom of what? Freedom of the heart. So it's, again, there's a lot of momentum in this piece. In inner freedom of the heart. So let's underscore heart. So we know that that's what we're going for. In and freedom can be a little underscore. In inner freedom of the heart, our night. And again, we have moving passages on night. It's that hopeful, it's that aspirational quality. And we've crescendoed up to a fortissimo, which means very loud. It's like jubilant at this point. Our night has turned to day. So we have the, again, contrast. We're contrasting night and we're contrasting day. So let's really bring out that emphasis. Our night has turned to day. So, and then you'll see over here we have a little repeat. So we go back to the beginning. You sing it through twice, basically. So those are some great lyrical parts. And, like I said, just circle it on your line so you see it more easily. And now let's go over breaths really quickly. So the breathing is pretty straightforward in this one. Basically, obviously, like we said, big breath. Thy light within us shining has shone where freedom lies. Put a B for breath. Big breath there. Freedom lies, breath from earthly walls confining, to soar in spirit skies. Looks like a good point for a breath to me. How oft like sheep we've strayed apart, now guided by thy ray, breath. In inner freedom of the heart, our night has turned to day, breath. Okay, now if those are too big a jumps for you, I want you to try those, because if you take a big breath and you have the intention of getting all the way through, I bet you'll make it. Now, if you find that that's too challenging, let's put another breath mark. Thy light within us shining, you can put a little B. If you have to breathe, take it there. Thy light within us shining, little breath, has shone where freedom lies, big breath. From earthly walls confining, put your little breath after the ing of confining. To soar in spirit skies, big breath. How oft like sheep we've strayed apart, breath. So little breath after part if you need it. Now guided by thy ray, big breath. In inner freedom of the heart, little breath. You starting to catch on? It's not that challenging. Basically breathe at a comma if you have to, but try to get all the way to the end of the sentence. Our night has turned to day. Bingo, we're done. Awesome. So now we're going to jump into parts more specifically. So, well, that's your note right there. So when you strum the guitar, listen for the second to highest note. Sorry, I have a hard time finding it. I'll cut all this out in editing. So I want you to go ahead and circle that starting note. And if you have the score, you can circle the note and tie it to the tenor note here, which is just one guy down. Or just put tenor buddy, like TB, not tuberculosis, but tenor buddy. Somehow note that you and the tenor actually are singing the exact same note. So make that mark in your music, because when we sing our opening chords, you and the tenor should sound exactly the same. Okay? So now let's go ahead and try that again. So imagine that there are hypothetical tenors. So our part goes like this. Thy light within us shining has shone where freedom lies. So try and think of the momentum of the thought. Thy light within us shining has shone where freedom lies as you're singing. And then again with the moving passages, think of that moving energy upwards in the spine towards hope and towards freedom. So we have a moving passage on within us. So it's within us. Think about that energy moving up the heart. Has shown where freedom lies. And where it is certainly pretty important. So let's try that again. Here we go. Thy light within us shining has shown where freedom lies. So I'm not singing very quietly because I'm trying to make sure that the mic picks me up, but this will be pianissimo, so it'll actually be very tender, very soft. Think like as if it was so sacred you could barely even speak it. But you had to because your heart would burst if you didn't. So let's take a look at these little suckers right here. Those are called slurs, that little line that connects those two notes. And so a slur, when you're playing on a stringed instrument, means that you play those two notes with the same bow stroke. So another word for it is called a tie. A nice way to think about it is that those notes are tied together. They need to flow seamlessly between them. So for example, we would not sing thy light within us because they're slurred. We want to do thy light within us shining, right? And it's two notes on one word, so we want to make it as smooth as possible. So let's go on. So let's sing we'll start at the top and we'll get all the way through the first pitch. Thy light within us shining has shown where freedom lies. From earthly walls confining to soar in spirit skies. So I want you to circle the note on spirits. So the RITS note, that quarter note, circle that note. Because if you notice, you and the bass are the only one who actually move. Everybody else holds the notes, or I should only say the tenor and the soprano. But when you move, it's a beautiful switch. You change the chord and you get to really bring that out. Feel like for that moment, you are expressing the heart of the piece. To soar in spirit skies. And that then when you're coming back down to skies, it's like coming home. So let's take that again and let's emphasize that note on spirits. So let's go from earthly walls. From earthly walls confining to soar in spirit skies. Good. Now, one thing I want to highlight here is the dichotomy between from earthly walls confining to soar in spirit skies, right? We want to emphasize that with the way we sing it. The other thing is let's circle the note on confining, because we go down and it feels confining. So let's underscore the ing in confining and circle that note. So remember that that's a great heavy hitting note. To soar in spirit skies. Good. And let's move on. And so now we're up to mezzo forte. So that's like a regular speaking voice. So we've started with this sacred holy thing that we can barely say, but we have to say. And now we're building that courage and that momentum, and now it's starting to just come out of us more freely. How oft like sheep we've strayed apart. So let's pause right there. So we have a beautiful note on sheep. It's gorgeous. Really let that ring out. Let the heart's natural love come out. That how often in the past, like sheep, we've strayed apart. And that will really emphasize how off like sheep, we can bring that out because it's such a beautiful note. We've strayed apart, and then we can emphasize now guided by thy ray. So let's take it from how. How, that's our note. How oft like sheep we've strayed apart. I kind of did a little bit of a slide, and I don't want you to do that. So erase that. Let's go from how oft. How oft like sheep we've strayed apart. That was better. now guided by thy ray. So again, with ray, we have a beautiful note, and let's circle that note, and let's circle the fact that, or don't circle it, but just note we have a crescendo, and circle that forte. So we get to crescendo into re. That's really important. Guided by thy ray. You can almost feel as if that ray is erupting out of your own heart through your voice. Great. Let's move on. In inner freedom of the heart, our night has turned to day. Night. That's way easier. Day, thine. Day, thine. So let's just take it from in. In inner freedom of the heart, our night has turned to day. Thy light. So now let's just do that one more time to make sure we get it right, and then I'll flip the page and we'll sing the whole thing again. In inner freedom of the heart, our night has turned to day. Thy light within us shining has shone where freedom lies. I'm sorry, I made a mistake. I was looking at the camera. That's has shone where freedom lies. It stays down on freedom, as I'm sure you sang properly. From earthly walls confining to soar in spirit skies. So the way you can remember that is that spirits is very soaring, so you go up. But over here, we're still getting warmed up, so we don't get to go up just yet. So let's continue. From spirit skies, together. Spirit skies, how oft like sheep we've strayed apart, now guided by thy ray. In inner freedom of the heart, our night has turned to day. Thy light. So let's take a look at that, because I'm afraid that I completely taught you this section wrong, so I might have to cut that out. We'll just have to take a listen. But, okay, so here's what I'm going to do. Okay, so in inner freedom, so thy, the note of thy is the same as in. So we're going to go, thy ray in. So we come back to that same note. Thy ray in. Let's do that again. Thy ray. Moving on. In inner freedom of the heart, our night has turned to day. Thy light would be how the next phrase starts. It's good to practice just the transition. And circle that pianissimo so you remember to go back down to quiet when we go back to the top. So let's just take it from now guide. So right from now. Now guided by thy ray, in inner freedom of the heart, our night has turned to day. Thy light would be the repeat. So let's get into the words a little bit. So we're at forte, as if that ray is rising and bursting out of our chest in a strong, vibrant voice in inner freedom of the heart. So in inner freedom is great, but it's an inner freedom of the heart. So heart is the most important. Our night, circling night, has turned to day. Night and day. Night and day in thy joy, O my Lord. So it's night and day as the dichotomy. So let's emphasize those. Let's take it again from Now Guided by Thy Ray. Now guided by Thy ray, in inner freedom of the heart, our night has turned to day. Good. Let's sing the whole thing through once together and just see how it goes, okay? Here we go. So I'll play this chord. And our note is nine. Remember, we're the same as the tenors. Here we go. Thy light within us shining has shown where freedom lies. From earthly walls confining to soar in spirit skies. How oft like sheep we've strayed apart, now guided by thy ray, in inner freedom of the heart, our night has turned to day. Thy light within us shining has shown where freedom lies. From earthly walls confining to soar in spirit skies. How oft like sheep we've strayed apart, now guided by thy ray, in inner freedom of the heart, our night has turned to day. Awesome. Thank you. Good work. All right, guys, so we've just wrapped up our sing-along videos. I'm sorry I didn't have a bouncing ball to pop along with the lyrics like those old sing-along movies. Maybe we'll work on that in the next, 20 years or so. You never know. Maybe we got a special effects budget soon. Anyway, so let's make sure we all had our pencils, right? We all were taking notes, right? Awesome. So I hope you guys had fun. I hope you enjoyed yourself. I sure did. I got to just sing for like an hour and a half straight or more, which was great. It's good practice for me, and I hope this is going to be great practice for you. Please listen to your whole videos, not just passively, not while you check your emails, not while you play Frogger. Frogger's awesome. I don't want to hear anybody bashing on Frogger. And, do them with conscious attention. And if there's any part that you didn't sing perfectly, go back and sing it again. The reason why I'm recording these is so you can essentially get a reduced voice lesson without actually having to take a voice lesson. So that's pretty cool. Utilize this. Make the best of this. The more you practice, the more fun we're going to have together when we all get together and sing on Sundays, right? If you come and you know your part and you know the energy behind the piece and you know the phrasing and you know what we're saying and you can just come and we can all do that all together, it's going to be so dynamic. It's going to be so much fun because that's when it really sings. That's when we get to experience it together as a group. And that is what makes singing so much fun. That's what makes music so wonderful. They actually did a study and they shown that people who sing together, it releases an endorphin in your brain that actually builds trust between the people who you sing with. So we're not just singing together. It's a real bonding experience. So treat it with the respect like you would if you were doing it with your friends, because we are friends. So let's try and bring your best to this. If you can watch this video 3 times before Sunday and pause the video, go back if you need to, rewatch it 3 times with your pencil. Make your own notes. If there's a hard part, underline it and say, practice this part, and then practice it the next time you come back and practice. Repetition is the mother of all learning. You can't just practice this once, because if you practice it once, and even if you get to a good place, if you wait 3 days, you're going to forget most of that. You have to repeat it, right? So practice once, wait a day, practice the next day, wait 2 days, practice again, or dare I say, practice every day, and then we'll get together and we'll get to have so much fun.